Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome, folks. Day the Hungry Gamer is back with another episode of Boards and Brews, and because I couldn't find anybody, I am joined for the third time by Mark Dainty of Not Bored Gaming. So you know who he is. If you are watching the video, you have already signed off because of that face he just made. But Mark, thank you for coming back on, and we'll jump to right in with the usually it's who the crap are you? Well, we know who the crap you are. What do you want to tell us about yourself today? And what
Well,
is your brewed beverage?
well, first of all, thank you very much for the check for $10,000 for actually coming on because
It
nobody
was a
else would speak to you.
7,500
So
actually. It was
yeah,
7,500.
7,500.
Did I send? Maybe I sent pounds. 7,500 pounds.
So
That's about 10 grand. Yeah.
about 10 grand US. Yeah, um, yeah. So all good here. Obviously, freshly back from 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks in America, where for 1 week of that I stayed at William's house. He was very, very kind. Well, no, his wife was very, very kind to let me stay there. Will fought against it, but
Were,
she said she
were you
wanted.
here? Were you here?
Yeah, no, I was
Oh,
that good a guest that you did not notice. Yeah, yeah. So there we go. So I spent a week
that
at obviously
explains
your
the bucket
house.
of urine in the guest room. That explains it.
We still do not have kind of workable sewage systems in the UK. So yeah, week at your house. Then I left there and went to Indianapolis. There was a really, really small gathering of people. Gen Con, I think it was called. I attended for a few days there. It was okay. There's only about, I don't know, 7 or 8 people there, which was great fun. Then I had a couple of days in Chicago, and I headed back home. And I've been back home, I don't know, 3 days, 4 days, something like 3 days, I think, at this stage. Yeah.
And
So
what's your
yeah, I'm
brewed
doing all
beverage?
right. My brew of choice is it's a little bit time different here. So Will is at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm at just gone 5 o'clock in the evening. So I'm having Camden Hell's Lager. There we go. So Camden is a place in London for those that don't know. Really nice. This, yeah.
It's also a place in New Jersey, I believe.
Is it? Yeah, but the one in London's more famous. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Jersey's like
Camden Market, swinging 60s, Camden Market, yeah. Camden, New Jersey is just full of what, blue collar workers and yeah. Hey, forget about it. Yeah.
wow. Well,
Yeah.
one, I hope that it is actually in Camden, New Jersey. I just didn't pull that out of my head. And two, we no longer have any listeners in New Jersey. Uh, so I'm just
Joyzy.
drinking some coffee out of my Omicron protocol mug.
Yeah.
You know,
So
whether people like the game or not, this mug is
it is
amazing because
it
it's
is a great mug.
huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. And
It's not quite as big as my Too Many Bones mug, which is like literally like tankard size, basically that thing.
oh, yes, I have one of those at I keep that one at school.
But my wife has started using it for her tea, and I know now I've lost it forever because this morning she said to me, "Mark, where is my mug?" And that's it. It's lost. That's it. I no longer have a Too Many Bones mug. Yeah.
Well, Josh Welgus, Andrew Santoro, Shannon Wedge, if you're listening, send that man another mug. Send his wife another mug. Let's be real. She'll probably take that one too, right? She can have
Yeah,
one.
absolutely. Yeah.
She can have one at the salon, one at
One
house.
at the salon and one at the house. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, jumping right in here. What have you been playing lately? Just one or two games, and then what's the next thing that's going to be hitting your table? So I'm going to jump with the first. I spent pretty much all day yesterday and the night before on just two games.
Okay.
And the first one was I spent hours and hours and hours playing Feudum in the solo mode.
Oh,
And for those of you who don't know, Feudum is the game that everyone talks about when they talk about a game that's impossible to learn with all the rules. And it does have a lot of rules. I don't think it's as hard as people say it is to learn. It's actually decently. It kind of makes most of it kind of makes sense. But
is the juice worth the squeeze on it though? I mean, is
well,
it worth putting all
that's
the
what
effort in?
I'm trying to decide still. And I've had this game for about a year,
Uh huh.
and I was interested in it. And I was actually at Gen Con last year. I went up to the publisher. I was just chatting with them, and they said, "Do you want to play?" I was like, "No, no, I do not. I've heard." He was like, "No, no, no, it's really not that hard." And it was great because, like, on BGG, it's listed as, I don't know, it's listed as like a 4.1 weight or something like that. And he was like, "I really think it's like a 3.95." is what the publisher said. I was like, "That's funny." And so I kind of, but I didn't want to buy it. I was like, "'Cause what if no one? I can't get anybody to play this." So I made a deal with him. I said, "I'd like to cover it, but it's an older game, so a lot of people don't care about older games. But what isn't out there are any playthroughs of the solo mode." So I said, "Okay, so I will do a play. I'll cover it, and I'll do a playthrough of the solo mode." And so they sent me a copy. But the problem is, before you can dive into a solo mode like that, you got to play the game several
Yeah, yeah,
times.
yeah,
And it's been very hard to get this game to the table. Just
yeah.
really, really hard. And but so it took a year, but I finally got it done. And so I spent all 2 nights ago just reminding myself of the game and playing through the solo mode a few times. And then I recorded yesterday morning, I recorded a playthrough of the solo mode. You'll be happy to know I got obliterated.
Good.
The final result, you check your score. My final result was you are beheaded. Um, you know, world's a
Yeah.
happier place. So I spent a lot of time with that, and so here's kind of where I am on it. It does stuff that I no other game I've played does, so that's cool. So the kind of it's got a little bit of area control, and it's whatever. But the main thing is it's got these 6 guilds that you can gain membership into by having certain workers out on the board and building up certain feudums, all these things. But depending on how powerful you are in the guild, one, you get more points at the end of each era. And there's 5 eras, and each era might take anywhere between 2 and 6 rounds. It varies a little depending on what people do. But if you're the guild master, you're allowed to like push items out of that guild into another guild, and you score points by doing it. But by
Okay.
pushing stuff out of one guild into another guild, it creates other opportunities in another guild. If you're the
Yeah.
journeyman, you can pull stuff into your guild, and
Yep.
then there, which gives you some points, and then everyone can always like buy crap from the different guilds. It's really interesting. My big issue with it is it's really hard to do anything. Like just to like it's hard. Like not
Right.
physically, but it's like it's so challenging. It's like, okay, I need to get all the things from the farmers guild over to the knights guild. That is so hard to do. And so it's like both satisfying. I still don't know really where I stand on it, but it's the most unique game I have, and I know a few people that love this game, like Lance Meister from Gray Fox. He swears by this game. He loves it,
Right.
and I see why. And I was on the edge of selling this game, of culling it. I played it, I have my content, but now that I spent a lot of time with the solo, I don't know that I'm going to. I think
Okay.
I kind of want to go. It's the whole everything about it is just fascinating. Like it has 5 decks of cards, and it's got program.
Yeah.
We should have played it, but it would have taken us all day.
Yeah, I hear it's a big, heavy game. Obviously, I've kind of, I mean, I love big, heavy games, but I think in the kind of pantheon of big, heavy games that I like to try, it's one that at some point I may well do it, but I'm not kind of breaking my back to rush out and try Feudum. Not like something like I know it's not a solo game, but Twilight Imperium. I would love to play Twilight Imperium. I know that's a long, big game, etc. But Feudum, yeah, for I don't know, it's of interest, but it's nothing that's kind of yeah,
Yeah,
top of the list for me.
yeah. The interesting thing to me, why? Because if you're going to play this at 3, 4 players, I mean, it's going to be a 3, 4 hour game, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I recorded the solo play, and
How long was that?
I was regularly just double checking what the cards did for
Yeah,
the AI, just making sure I did it right. And it was one of those maddening things, how you go, no, I better double check, make sure it's right. And of
yeah,
course you're right. Like, of course you're doing it right, you
yeah.
know? And it took me just about 2 hours. So that
Okay,
was
that's
with
not bad,
recording
really.
and
Yeah,
checking.
yeah, yeah. It's not too bad at all.
So
Yeah.
I bet it's a hour and 15 minute solo play.
And does the solo cut out lots of aspects of the multiplayer game? Then
Um, sorry, does it add? Sorry, say that again.
does it cut out a lot of aspects of the multiplayer game? The solo.
No, it's the only thing that gets kind of cut out. I mean, the it has a few different rules that it does, and it
Yeah, yeah,
takes
yeah.
away a couple of things that you could do. Like usually, you can control the monster and move the monster. Oh no, you can still control the monster. So no, it doesn't take it out. What it takes out, and I think the most thing that gets taken away is you just don't have a lot of other players. So there's
Okay.
not as much interaction like in those
Yeah, of course.
guilds.
Yeah,
But it cheats in its own way.
yeah. All
Um,
AIs do. Yeah.
yeah, but it felt pretty much like any other two-player game that I played, other than I
Cool.
lost by even more.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Ah,
it's interesting. Yeah, I've talked myself back and no, I'm keeping this for a while. I'm going to play this
for
game
a while.
solo several more
Yeah.
times. I played it once with the original Don, and God love him. He was good going through, and he just was not having a good
Oh,
time. He
yeah,
couldn't. He's like, I can't do anything. And then halfway through the game, he's like, I can do things.
yeah.
But all
uh,
right, so that's my first one. What's the first thing you've been playing?
Also on my table at the moment is Voidfall. So I got a review copy of the Galactic Box of Voidfall through. I'm doing a solo playthrough with Paul Grogan on the next Saturday, which is the 19th, I want to say, at 7
You're
p.m. on
doing a
Paul's channel
solo play
with
with
Paul.
a
Well,
person.
Paul's doing the playthrough, and I'm going to be the rules lawyer in the background, basically. So yeah, Voidfall. And when we talk about games that have got a lot of rules, there's no denying that Voidfall has got a lot of rules, a lot of icons in there. There's a 4-page icon chart basically, so that's how many icons are in there. But they kind of have to be at the same time as well. It's tool stuff, so they're all obviously the once you get to understand them, once you've done that bit of homework and you start playing the game, then they start to make sense. But you still have to reference a little bit. Now, the game it's got 4X elements. It's set in space. It's 1 to 4 players, but of course, I've been doing the solo at the moment. So you're playing against the Voidborn, which are constantly coming out and trying to issue crises against you and start wars and have skirmishes against you, and you've got to try and battle that to beat
This
them.
is like space galactic combat.
Absolutely, yeah. Combat is a smaller part of it, but it's very much got four. It's not a total 4X game, but it's got 4X elements in there. It's a Minecraft game. It's Nigel Buckle, David Turksey, and I previewed it for the Kickstarter
I know,
2 years ago.
and you unsuccessfully fought for it in the first ever Three Idiots Game of the Year.
And what won out for it?
Exceed. Michael
Exceed.
Kelly
Exceed.
won.
Yes, of course. Yeah, with Exceed, which is just like insane, basically. Um, yeah. So big, sprawling, lots of rules. Now, it's got a rule book, it's got a compendium, it's got a scenario
Did
book.
you say it has
Uh,
8 rule books?
no, A1,
Oh,
one singular.
A.
It's got a rule book, a compendium, and a scenario book. And you will find yourself flicking between all three of them at some point. But it has a tutorial mission. And anybody that's getting it, even though I played it before, I played it for Kickstarter, I played it through the development phase with David Turksey and on TTS. I still went through the tutorial yesterday and played it on the tutorial. It's even better than what I remember because there's a couple of bits that have been added to it. So that's going to be pretty much on my table for most of this week because I've got this thing with Paul Grogan next Saturday. So I just want to make sure I've got the solo rules down pat. But if a large, heavy Euro space-based game is your jam, then this is certainly one to look out for. I think it's exceptional.
Yeah, so you do have me slightly more interested in it with so before we actually started the episode, he was raving about it a little bit, and he's been going on about it in our chat group, and so I just wasn't jumping on board, and it was
Hmm.
probably because at the exact same time I was working with the people behind Fractal
Yeah,
and just helping them get some more last minute media and stuff. And I played a
yeah,
lot of it, and I was real deep in that. And everybody, if you remember, it was like, which one do I get? They're the same game. They're nothing the same at
they're not
all.
the same.
But
Yeah,
the internet's always right.
yeah.
And both of them were super successful. And so I was like, I poo pooed it privately because I was like, I don't know. But I'm getting a little more tempted. I'll watch your video, and hopefully you'll talk me out of it. Um,
No,
pretty
I
honestly.
won't talk you out of it. I'll be very complimentary about it. I think a lot of people want to compare it to the Twilight Imperium. It's not. It's completely different. It's just, the only similarity they have is they're space games with hexes, basically, and
Does it
that's
take
it.
8 hours to play?
No, it doesn't. It took on the tutorial, and that's with lots of referencing and whatnot. Probably again around about 90 minutes to 2 hours. So solo scenarios probably going to take you, depending on the size, because there's a number of solo scenarios, some of them are quite big, and there's co-op in there as well as competitive. Probably going to take you 2 to 2.5 hours on a solo game. But at this depth and complexity, that's not too bad to tell you the truth.
Most
With the
important
amount of
question:
decisions.
how
Yeah.
big is the box?
Oh, it's bloody huge. Yes.
Everybody, it's so big. He failed to censor himself.
It's bloody huge. Yes, it's a Minecraft game. It's of equivalent size to Perseverance.
Okay. Oh
Yep.
boy. So
Yeah.
everybody, so
But sorry. Oh, that's because I've got the Galactic box, which has got all the miniatures in it. If you've got the retail box, it will be smaller because that will have the cardboard tiles instead of the miniatures. So
I like that sound of that better. So everybody, Mark knows this. When I was at Origins, I talked with Soma from Mind Clash, one of the loveliest humans I've ever met in my life. And he asked me if I'd ever played Perseverance. I was, or if I played it and or covered it. I was like, no, neither. And he says, well, here, and he reaches under the table and he pulls out this deluxe version. He's like, we would love for you to cover this. And I said to him, I was like, I cannot take that. It will not fit in my suitcase, or if it does, I have to throw everything else away. I can't do it. And so it's a big box. So the second you said that, I was like, I'm out. But now the retail version. Now, does the retail version, do you know, does it have all the gameplay in there?
yeah. So Minecraft never do any gameplay Kickstarter exclusive. It's all bling and deluxe basically. So if you got the retail version, you get exactly the same game, just with with less stuff there basically. But in terms of gameplay, exactly the same.
All right. So, and are you on Mind Clash's payroll?
No, I'm not. No, I
Oh,
wish I was. No, I
yeah,
wish I
right.
was. Yeah, yeah. There's a company that makes like £2 or £3 million per Kickstarter. Yeah, so yeah, maybe I should be. I'm on nobody's payroll. I can't start charging. I'm going to start charging you. Oh yeah, I've got
You
seven and a
did.
half grand coming from you.
Remember, you
Yeah,
got
there we go.
$10,000. All those pounds, right?
Yeah.
All right. So the next one for me, we played literally all day yesterday. So uh, one when I make my list of games to play with my wife, she walks through the room and just looks at stuff and she'll say, "What's that? What's that?" I have to give like a 2 sentence explanation, and she decides this goes on the list or it doesn't. And one of the ones that went on the list was Oathsworn because
Ooh.
I gave her the secret box, which was a little full painted whatever statue of the war bear. Would
Yeah, I've
just
got it behind me here.
Oh yeah, hold it up to the screen. The war bear.
There we go. His arm's fallen off because I've not glued it in there yet. But here we go.
Your arms fell. The arms come off.
One arm needs gluing in. But there
Huh.
we go. Let's have a look. There is the war bear. Hold on. There we go. That's the camera.
Yep. So the big old war bear, and she loves it. It sits in her office. She just loves the big old bear that smashes things. And so we played that. We played that yesterday, and we had some other friends over who also wanted to try it. And so we jumped in the middle of my campaign. I had to
Hmm.
have a couple different characters that they wanted ready to go.
Where are you now? Are you about scenario 6, 7, something
No,
like
we just played. We did fight number 7 last night. So
that? Okay, cool.
I'd done 6 of them, and we did 7, the story, and then the fight, and
Yep.
it was a hard fight. Number
Okay.
7 was hard. Like none of us died, but
Yep.
we were all down to like 1 or 2 hit points left.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we had dinner, and I was about to pack it up, and the other people came down there was like, "Well, can we just play again?" I was like, "Sure." So we started.
Sure.
Now we didn't actually get the fight set up on the table because it got too late. So we didn't actually do the next fight. We went through the whole next story, and the chapter 8 story. I don't know if you've done chapter 8 yet. Is
I'm only at,
crazy pants.
I've complete first 5 scenarios. I mean, I love the game. I'm just not getting any time to play it. I think I was speaking to Bastian from Shadowborn when I was at Gen Con. I met him at almost every con I've been to, and I was saying that it just seems to hit everything, almost everything it's going for. Oathsworn. It just works on every single level. It's not it's not as sprawling and as disorganized as some of the Awakened Realms kind of large campaign games, and
I know
you
whose
can
payroll
literally
you're not on. Let me tell you.
and, and you can do a scenario, or you can do half a scenario and put it away. You can do the adventure, the fight, or the story bit and put it away. It's not one of those games you have to leave out on your table all the time. And yeah, I think it's great. Yeah,
Yeah, it just absolutely reconfirmed that I made the right choice when I picked it as
yeah.
my game of the year. And also it's interesting because I feel bad for Familiar Tales because any other year that would have won.
Right.
It was, but just so much fun, so great. So I'm actually gonna finish the fight today, and then I have to put it away because I got to get my next game actually on the table. So I know you've done lots of Voidfall. Anything else that's been hitting your table? Maybe even on your Steam Deck or something?
So not necessarily on the Steam Deck, but at Gen Con, I was given an early pre-production copy of 20 Strong from Chip Theory Games. So this is
I'm so jealous.
the dice-based combat game, if you like. It's cards. The game takes about 20 minutes. It's tough as nails. It's
But
got
what if you
so
win? Does it take 20
yeah,
minutes if you're going to win?
yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah. It can take a lot less than 20 minutes if you lose. So it's got the three decks with it. It's got the Solar Sentinels, which is kind of the one that comes with the base game, and then the two additional decks is Too Many Bones and Hop Mackers. I've only played Solar Sentinels so far. It's so much fun. It just works. I'm not usually a fan of small games. They generally don't hold my interest. But I was playing this in my hotel room in Chicago. I was playing it at the airport while I was waiting waiting for the plane. I played it a couple of times since I've been home, and I still haven't touched Too Many Bones and Hoplomachus decks yet.
Wait
It's
till you
just
try the Too Many Bones one. I got to
yeah,
try that one also. I tried Solar Sentinels and I won because Andrew, who was giving me the demo, was helping me,
yeah, yeah,
cheating for me. And then we were gonna go. He's like, "You sure you don't want to try the Too Many Bones?" I was like, "Well, twist my leg," you know. It's even cooler.
yeah. And I looked at the rules for Hoplomachus, and that looks insane as well. So, yeah, 20 strong. I know. I say these. I think they had 20 pre-production copies they were given to some of us at Gen Con. So myself, Michael Kelly, Alex Radcliffe, I think Jeremy Howard got copies, etc. And yeah, all of us that played it have all said we just speaking to all of them at Gen Con, and we all think it's utterly fantastic. And for that small game experience, it just gives you that combat element, that tactical, and a bit of strategy in there as well as you're trying to constantly battle and improve your characters. It's great fun.
Yep. All right. So next question, what's the next game you're gonna be playing? And we're gonna talk about my next one a bit later on in the episode. But next for me is Frostpunk. As soon as I
Okay.
get Well, it might have to be the Oathsworn put away just because of the size of the box of the thing. So
Yeah.
either Oathsworn or Feudum put away. Frostpunk is going back out on the table for
Good.
me because I've
Good.
had that for a while and I just was got scared of it and I was supposed to cover it and I just couldn't get at the table trying to figure it out. And you made me play.
I did
And
make you play.
now I want to play more, which I guess
Yes.
is like, is that my review? Am I done? No, I think I had
I
to be.
mean, that's pretty good, isn't it? It's a game I played once and I want to play again. There's a poster quote for you. Yeah, it's a
Right?
bit like they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's funny. So I'm because you stayed with the Dead Alive Games guys at
yeah,
Gen Con, and when they did launch their Omicron protocol the first time, they thought that people would appreciate quotes that weren't just hyperbolic. So this is
yeah.
amazing, and so they had things like the faction balance is really solid, and just like things that felt substantive, and people just ripped them. They're like, "Hey, I have a quote for you. It's a game." Like
Yeah.
just and it just backfired so
Yeah,
spectacularly. But so anyhow, so Frostpunk's what I'm going to be playing next.
yeah,
Massive crisis management. You're all going to die
yeah.
type game. So what do you got next after Voidfall?
It's probably going to be. I've not reviewed it yet. I mean, I backed both Series One and Series Two of Final Girl, and it made my list of kind of top 10 solo games last year. And I think Final Girl is exceptional. It speaks to me on a level. I love 80s horror films, so therefore to have this kind of pure solo game of 80s horror films is perfect. Now we've got season three coming to Kickstarter, and
There's another one coming? Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
season three is coming to Kickstarter in September, and I just think right, I need to review seasons one and two. I've had obviously season one for about 18 months now. I had season two for about 6 months or so. I backed them both. I will be back in series three.
Now tell
It's
me the
not for
truth. How many of the episodes? Because if you don't know, eat there. It comes with
yeah,
a bunch of boxes, which is like a
yeah,
different bad guy and a slightly
yeah.
different scenario. So I don't know. There must be what 20 different.
I think there's eight, maybe I want to say 8, 16, something like
Okay,
that.
so
Maybe
16.
yeah.
How many have you played?
So and season one, I played all of the not episodes, what they called movies. Yeah, I
Yeah,
suppose they are.
yeah.
Yeah, features. That's what they called. I played all of the features in season one. Season two, I've only played three of those so far. And of course, you don't have to play the same bad guy with the same feature, so you can mix Alien with Poltergeist or Nightmare on Elm Street with I don't know Friday the 13th. Of course, they're not called that, but they're called
Yeah,
things
I
very
backed.
similar to it. Yeah,
So the AJ from Van Ryder sent me home with a couple of the features from Gen Con a
yeah,
couple years ago, and I covered that, and I really enjoyed it. I don't like horror, I just don't.
right.
But I did back the Little Red Riding Hood, Big Bad Wolf one,
Okay, yeah,
whatever that is. I was like, okay, so I can get behind that because that's not really horror. And I haven't gotten to play it because Don has my copy of Final Girl, and I
at the
know where
base.
I know where it is in his room when
Yeah.
I'm over there, and I'm like, oh, I need to take that, and I always get in the car, and I'm halfway home, like, damn it.
Damn it. Yeah,
So,
and I think the great thing about it is again, it's a game, a little bit of setup involved, but it's a game that plays pretty quickly. You can die pretty quickly in it as well. You can play a few games on the bounce. You can have difficulty modifiers in there. Certain things you can add to it. But I say, as a real fan and a geek of 80s horror films, I love it. I talked about it many times, but I haven't reviewed it yet. And I thought, right, that's probably the next thing. I know I've got some big games to review, but after I've done the stuff with Voidfall and 20 Strong, it probably will be Final Girl. Because, yeah, it's not for everybody. It's a lot of dice throwing, a lot of dice chucking. It can be very random at times, but it speaks to me on so many levels. So, yeah. And of course, I got my Final Girl t shirt at Gen Con as well. So,
well, that's all you need is a T-shirt, and you love it.
absolutely. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, what can I say? I'm easily swayed.
Yeah. All right. So now we're getting into things. So when initially
Hmm.
I was going to be joining Mark at Gen Con. We were going to stay at the same place, but then my school district changed the schedule, and the first day of school was the first day of Gen Con, and you just can't miss the first day of school. It's just a bad idea. Even though in theory you could, because not a lot that goes on, you can't miss day one. It's missing day one and the last day. Those are usually bad ideas. It's frowned upon by the establishment. So I couldn't go, but I convinced Mark by creating a convention for him called Powdered Wig Con. And I promised him all of his fans that were in the San Francisco Bay Area would be here to celebrate him in the driveway, screaming and shouting for him. And Mark bit. He came out for a weekend of games, and it is true. All of his fans were there.
Beatrice.
Yep.
Yeah, that was it, really, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yep. That was it.
yeah, pretty much
She
just
was
Beatrice.
skeptical until you opened up the blueberry clamshell.
I bought her with blueberries, and that's it. That's all that needs. That's all people need to know. And she's easily bought and swayed with blueberries. Yeah.
But so we had Powdered Wig Con, which resulted in Friday through Sunday had Peter Vaughn came up, Cardboard Alchemy from Los Angeles, Bernie Lynn from Dead Alive Games, who's in San Francisco, he came down, designer of Backyard Chickens, Don Gilstrap came down to play. My buddy Matt, Streamline Matt, came down. He's a budding designer. His biggest problem is he once had a great game and everyone told him it needed to be streamlined, and then he streamlined all the fun out of it. And he's like, well, this is no fun. So he just threw it away. Um, and he's finally come back to it after several years.
Good.
And he came down. My wife even took a day off of work to spend a day playing cute big player count Euros. And and did I miss anybody? I don't think I missed anybody.
You were there.
Oh well, yeah, but I don't count. And yeah, and I was there.
Yeah.
And so we had 3 days of games with everybody, plus a few games prior. The days prior to that mostly consisted of Mark slagging off our local historical landmarks by talking bad about the Winchester Mystery House because apparently
I
his
didn't.
house is older.
It was
So
just the fact she kept emphasising it's 100 years old. I'm like, yeah, yeah, mine's 170. Yeah,
yeah,
stop that.
so immediately doing that and then going out to way too fancy dinners for people like us. It was mostly what we
Yeah.
did before, but we got a few games in also. So kind of just want to do a little recap of our time at Powdered Wig Con. And so we're going to talk about our top games, we're going to talk about our top moments, but just kind of overall, how'd you feel about the vibe of the whole thing? I know you didn't have your screaming fans. You had
Well,
just the dog that then put you to work the entire
yeah,
weekend.
the dog made me work, and to be honest, my whole thoughts is that I paid for the flights to come over, and just so I could open the door for Beatrice about 500 times a day, basically. So I do feel a little bit used and abused, to tell you the truth. I felt like, you know, yeah, like one of your American programs that has a British butler. That's what it made me feel like. Tell you the truth, yeah. I was literally Jeeves in the corner. Yes, yes, sir. Absolutely. I will open the door for the dog.
Yep,
Yes.
she would just walk over and she would just paw the door once, and Mark would just turn around, open it, and then she would come
She'd
back.
literally turn around straight away to come back in. Yeah, so it was the best game in the world for Beatrice. No, no, it was in terms of how how it could have gone. It couldn't have gone any better, could it? Let's face it. We had the right, we had a good number of people there. We played so many games, literally from kind of from dawn till dusk. We were and beyond. We were playing games. We ate some great food. We had some great conversations. We got to play obviously a game that hasn't even hit Kickstarter yet, which is going to be the next one from Cardboard Alchemy. So we got to play Critter Kitchen, which is kind of I want to say follow-up game. It's not the same universe, so to speak, as
Flamecraft.
Flamecraft, as we know,
Maybe
which
you
was a
can
huge
say
hit.
spiritual successor. Maybe.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I would say spiritual successor. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect because obviously it's a solo game at home. I generally don't get to play that many games with people, and certainly not some of the heavier games that I like. So in terms of having people there, yourself, Peter, Bernie, Don, Matt, Sarah, everybody was just there, and we all had a fantastic time and ate loads of British snacks that I brought over as well.
Yeah,
So yeah,
everybody, he filled a suitcase of British snacks, and I'm going to talk about one of those later on in my top moments. But I will say he
yeah.
brought one thing that he said no one from Sheffield will talk to you if you don't like this. And I thought he was joking, whatever. One, apparently he was serious. It's very
Yep.
serious. It's very serious business. This stuff.
Sorry, yeah. So I live in Sheffield in the UK. Just so not just randomly throwing Sheffield out there.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, which is where in the UK is that for us?
So it's in Yorkshire. So it's north. So it's you've got kind of London, then you've got Birmingham, and then you have kind of where Sheffield is. So in the north, down from Newcastle, up from Birmingham. So it's in South Yorkshire. It's I think the fifth largest city in the UK and the greenest city in the UK. And if you've ever watched Game of Thrones, then everybody's accent in Game of Thrones is a Yorkshire accent, and that's where I'm from. Is Yorkshire. In fact, Sean Bean from Game of Thrones, he's from Sheffield and us. Yeah, so there we go.
So you're the hand of the king. Are you?
Yes.
Wow,
Ah,
you're King
yeah.
Charles's hand. Interesting.
Well, he's got very big fingers, hasn't he?
Yeah,
But no, not quite. Yeah. So
yeah.
anyway, yes, that's
But so he brought this stuff called
yeah.
Henderson's Relish, which is not Worcestershire sauce.
No.
It is not. If I said it would, like Mark would come through the screen and
Oh,
stab
that was
me if
the
I said it would.
guy. Yes.
And let me tell you, this stuff is so good. It's been going on my breakfast every morning, and I actually was seeking out a place that I can buy it in America, and I found a place. I gotta wait until I really need it because they send 2 kilograms worth of stuff. So I gotta fill up a box of 2 kilograms worth of stuff, and it's a bottle of that size is not very heavy, but it
You can,
it's
yeah.
like he could have just brought that and left, and that would have been fine. But he brought every kind of like snack that you shouldn't eat, like from his entire childhood, and we have like 2 snacks left out there right now. So which we're being eaten last night. So anyhow, so he brought all the snacks. They were all there. Everyone was eating random British food the entire time. And like I said, I'm going to talk about one of them a little bit later with my top moments. Um, but yeah, so overall, I had a great time. I enjoy doing these kind of in quotes cons, which just really it's an excuse for several people to get together to play games all weekend. You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and it kind of takes away. I mean, I like meeting with publishers and doing that the quote business part of it.
Yeah.
I like going to some of the smaller local cons and spending time in the proto spiel room, but that's also work.
Yeah.
If
Yeah. Yeah.
even if it's great, like then you sit there for half an hour, you give feedback and stuff, and and then sometimes if it's close, like, oh, will you cover it? It's just it's
Yeah.
work. This is just fun and just playing stuff. And there was definitely a couple nights when I was like, why are we still playing games? We could just go to bed. We should just go to bed. And we were still going. I don't
Still
know why,
going.
especially the
Yeah.
last night.
Yeah.
Last night that was a bad choice. I'm glad we did it. That was a bad choice. Um, but yeah, all in all, worked out. Great
It was
time. People are
yeah.
asking what the dates are for Powdered Wig Con 2 already, so you gotta get busy.
I
Um,
don't know. You know, I obviously I came across to America without my wife and my kids, and I just have to be very mindful of the
so it was a
fact
celebration
that
for them too.
absolutely, yeah, they had a great time without me. Of course they did. Yeah, yeah. So, but I think we have the Ungrateful Colonials Con next time, and you guys come over to the UK.
Well, originally we were planning on coming to UKGE, but with the date being not the same, it's not the
School.
same weekend
No.
this year that it was last year,
Yep.
and so I don't know but we might just come then anyway.
Yeah.
You know, just come then, and I don't know. Is it go on Sunday too? I don't know. Whatever, we'll figure it out. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. We can sort it.
we might just come anyway and hang out for a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Because Sarah wants to, and so and actually we do both want to see Bubby Bubby and Bamba, Bubba and Bambi.
Yes, I mean we know that's the only reason you're coming. That's the only reason I obviously came over to see you guys was to see Beatrice again. So yeah.
Yeah. All right, but let's because I know you're actually on a schedule today, so
Ah,
talking it through. We're gonna put it on the spot of what your top three game experiences from the con. So not this, everybody's not these are the best games in the world. Just the
yeah.
experience of your top three. We'll start at number three. We'll go up. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go first. Yeah.
All right. What's your number three?
The fastest, kind of most interactive game. Tremendous amount of fun. I probably will never play it unless I'm at your place. Is asking for Trobils. Yeah, Trobils,
Yeah,
whatever it's
asking
called.
for troubles. Yeah.
Yeah, the orange game. It was a lot of fun. That it was all kind of almost not. It's almost what's the word I'm looking for? Simultaneous play that you're
Yep.
doing basically, but the actions are so fast, and the game does come to a screeching end as well. Basically, before you know it, the game is over. But that was a lot of fun. I think there were six of us, seven of us
It
maybe
was a
around the table.
seven-player game.
Yeah, seven-player game, probably less than an hour for that seven-player game, including the rules teach for those of us that haven't played it. It was a lot of fun. Not necessarily my style of game that I would potentially buy or have myself, but it hit that atmosphere exactly right. That was probably that was the pinnacle of seven people together, just really getting on and just having a great amount of time trying to beat each other. It was
Yeah,
perfect.
and
Yeah,
it's one of my wife's favorite games. It's one of the few games that she has ever, when we had extra time, said, "Can we play Trobils?"
yeah,
And we didn't even touch the expansions,
yeah,
which because it it is tops. You will not find another game at 5+ players
yeah,
that plays as well.
yeah,
A lot of games like, oh, you could play 5 or 6, and you're like, but why are you? This is
yeah.
one that why are you playing under 5 or 6 for this one? So yeah, a great one. Does not It's high on my list, but it's not my top three. So my number three is one that I played first at DonCon 2. And my takeaway was I played this game and I kind of want to play again. That was my takeaway.
Yeah.
And this is Distilled. And I thought that when I played before, we played 5 players. It was late at night, long day of work. And I was like, I just don't know if I got it. So you and we played twice back to back, 2-player. And that was a fun game. I really want to get that one back to the table. Some people kind of
Yeah.
poo-poo it because it's got some randomness of what you lose in your drinks that you make, and you actually don't get to do a lot. Like you get to make max of 7 drinks, but yeah, I really enjoyed that. I need to get back to it again. It's just very light, clean, quick, easy.
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty about this. Still, I've loved it since I played kind of the earlier versions of it and what have you. And the solo is really good as well. But we, like I say, we played two-player games on the bounce, back to back, less than an hour per game. And that's with a bit of a rules teach to you as well, because you'd only played it once. It's light enough for people to grasp quickly, but there is a lot of there's a lot of choices to make, and those that random element doesn't have a bit as big an impact as you think it is. It's your strategy on choosing the right recipes, on going for the right cards from the market that makes probably more impact, and
Well, and
aging the
sometimes the
right.
stuff that comes out, like there was times I was like, I hope I pull an alcohol out of
Yeah,
here because then
yeah,
I'll have
yeah,
that next turn, or I can do that.
yeah,
And I think what I liked about it a lot was you can't do everything.
yeah,
And I really like those games. Like you want to do everything. You want to buy a card for all of your upgrade spots. You want to get this. You want, but you can't because
yeah.
that way leads madness and failure.
Absolutely, and timing is very much a key aspect of Distilled as well. Knowing what you want to do and when you want to do it, and planning it correctly is absolutely key. Because if you get it wrong by even one turn, you're not aging something for long enough, or you're missing out on a particular set of bonuses or your objectives. So yeah, really
Well, my
enjoyed
favorite
Distilled.
moment of the entire two times we played was we both brewed, I think it was vodka or something, but I had the tiebreaker, so I took the last token right
The
in front
last
of you.
token, yeah,
He was so mad. It was
I
so
got
good.
nothing. I got nothing for that. Yeah,
It's your horrible, horrible bathtub British vodka. Nobody wants that.
yeah. Yeah, let's get some potatoes, some good old moonshine in there. Yeah, oh no, it wasn't moonshine, it was vodka. Yeah,
All right, so that was my number 3. So what's your number 2?
number two, I mean, there's so many great moments and so many great games played. And I know you're going to talk about Frostpunk later, so I'm not going to mention that now. But that was a great. We split it over 2 days. That was it was good to play that with somebody else and have a proper cooperative experience. But I think my number two was playing the two games of Critter Kitchen then from Cardboard Alchemy. So we mentioned it. It's the next game from Cardboard Alchemy after the spiritual successor to Flamecraft. Comes to Kickstarter or Game Found in the next
I
couple of
I
months.
believe it's October.
October, I
I
want to
think
say. Yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah. A lot of fun. A lot of fun again. A bit like Distilled, light enough to get to grips with, and there is a bit of a random element there. But building your recipes and making sure you're trying to hit and achieve those, get those key recipes built and those dishes built, and impress the chef and impress the critic, all the while having these kind of anthropomorphic chefs with the pun names. It hits very well. There's no solo mode for it yet. There may well be at some point, but we played
We
four
played
player
twice.
twice,
Yeah. Yeah,
twice at four
we
player.
played
Yeah,
4. I think it was 4.
yeah, it was four. It was me, you, Sarah, and Peter. Yep, yeah. So we played
And
twice at
Don.
four player. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
counting. In America, me, you, Sarah. Oh, it was 5. It was 5.
was it? Was Don in on the game?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't think Don was there. I mean, if Don was there, he would have lost because he lost almost every game he played the weekend. But
Oh, everybody, poor Don. Like for a while, it was like if you got beat really badly, it's like, oh, pull to Don.
Paul and Don, yeah.
But
But no,
he did come back at the end to win some games, but it
he
was
did.
bad for a while.
But yeah, I enjoyed Critter Kitchen a lot. I would like to see a solo mode for it. But as a multiplayer game, again, like Distill, light enough to grasp fairly quickly, but a lot of decisions to make, and that rush to make the right kind of stuff for the dishes, not just the dishes, but the critic. Great fun. I loved it. Thought it was great.
Yeah, I've been playing this for a while now when I sleep here, so I've seen it through a lot of different cycles. Every time I play it, it does get better. I think the the latest additions that we saw, I think it's very close to being baked, as it were. Ha ha
Yeah,
ha
yeah,
ha.
yeah. Ah,
Um,
nice fun.
yeah, it's and this is another one that my wife just really likes. So we played once, and she asked, "Can we just play this again right now?" And
Yeah,
we tried different stuff. And so I think for the right audience, right? Because I mean, this is not a game that would normally be marketed like to you and I, because we tend to like little things are a little bit heavier.
yeah.
But it it's very very clean. The art's adorable, of course, and yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
It was
I
good.
always have a good time playing it. So my number 2 is one that I just always adore, and that is Cosmic Frog.
Yeah,
It's just crazy pants. It's
yeah.
so chaotic, but Jim Philly was kind enough to send me the latest expansion called Find Muck. and it adds some new powers. It adds a new type of terrain, the muck terrain, and it gives you the option to reduce the randomness a little bit of the dice by using ships and a new way to do the combat and everything. And so we tried it with all of it. We put all the expansion stuff in there to try it out. And it was one, I still love the game. It's still pure chaos. It's still very mean and hard and challenging. And I thought the new additions overall, I really liked. It has like this mental mind attack thing you can do, which if you
Yep.
win, it doesn't knock them, but it makes them vomit out
Puke.
all the yeah. And if you're standing in front of them, you can catch it out of the air, which is gross and amazing at the same time. So pretty much all of the things I liked. I haven't decided if I like the chip combat or not. I've always like just the chucking dice.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure. And the only thing that wasn't a hit for us was the new muck terrain.
I don't think it came into play at all, did it, in
It
the
just did
entire
it
game?
just yeah, just the way that we were playing. So the way it works, everybody, if you are familiar with the game, if you're out in the ether, and normally if you got hit in the old version, you would get knocked into whatever dimension you get knocked into, and that would open up your vault so people could raid your vault. Well, now this mental combat thing that makes people vomit out their stuff can make them vomit the lands into the other dimensions. If they go into the other dimension, they become muck lands. And then if you go get those, then they become wilds in your vault. So super powerful, but we just weren't making it happen. So we didn't really get to experience that one. But so I need to get back to it. What I really want to do, what I really want to do is I want to, because this is another one that you want to get a lot of players to play. I really want to get just with one other person and each play two frogs and play the team variant
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
because I played the team variant before. It's very hard trying to work
So
it
I
out,
think
but it's neat.
we had 5 playing, didn't we? There were 5 of us
Yeah,
with
we played to
Don,
five.
and Matt, me, you, and Peter.
Peter.
Yeah. 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 I played it solo. That's the first time I played it with other people. It is as kind of it's utterly crazy pants. Basically, the game, the whole concept of it is insane. It's always a good. It's always good fun. And I think that's the thing about Cosmic Frog because it doesn't take itself too seriously. You have a good laugh playing the
Or
game.
it
The
takes
artwork.
itself the most seriously. It I mean, you are a 2 mile high space frog, Mark, and you are powered by a piece of star in your stomach, and you hop around through the ether eating fragments of destroyed worlds. That's serious stuff.
Maybe I'm just going to go and get my tinfoil hat, right, and then we can continue the conversation. Yes, you got yours up there, and there we go.
There it is. I got my tinfoil hat right here. Which is just weird. I've had that because I used it for a video, and then I used it for another one. I'm like, why don't I get rid of that? I'm like, I might use that.
Might use it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
might use that again someday. But yeah, so that's my number two was Cosmic Frog. I want to
Okay.
play it again a lot. I wish I played that game more.
Yeah.
But now that I've thought it through, I'm like, oh, maybe I can do multi frogs. I played your the solo mode once or twice, and it
Yeah.
works.
It works. Yeah, it's not the best way to play the game, obviously, but it's good for kind of honing your skills and understanding the flow of the game, and for one nice little puzzle as well. A good puzzle. It does work. It's not brilliant, but it does work. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't grab the feeling of the game because
I wouldn't
it just
recommend it as a solo game. As somebody's got, like I did, unfortunately. No, unfortunately, because I just like having it in my collection. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend somebody goes out to buy it just to get solo. Yeah.
no, it doesn't. If it's not a game that oh, this is great to have solo, and sometimes I'll play the other. No, it's you buy it to play with multiplayer, and then sometimes if you got the hankering, you play the solo.
Yeah, yeah.
But it
As I say,
absolutely works.
it's not an official solo. It's one on BGG by Ricky Royal, and it works. It's a good solo way of playing the game, but don't just get the game for solo.
Yeah. All right, so your number one game of Powdered Wig Con.
I've got a feeling it might share your number one experience as well.
Oh,
Maybe. and it was the 5-player game of Dwellings of Eldervale that we did on
Yep,
the.
that was my number one too. Was
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
lumped them
yeah.
both together, playing both the games together. But yeah, Dwellings of Elder
Yeah.
was my number one too.
Dwellings, but the 3-player game that me and Peter played was good. When we was it the Sunday morning we played the 5-player game,
Yep.
and it was epic. It was just utterly epic. It was so close for everybody apart from Don. I think Don
No,
came
no.
dead fast. Was it
Well, so
you?
the one thing that I Don or I got last, I can't remember which one in that one, but Peter told us when we started. Said, "Look, what happens in five is somebody's gonna lose by like a million points," and nobody did.
No,
Um, Don and I lost, but I think it was like 15, 16 points that we both lost by.
yeah.
And did you win that or did Matt win
No,
that? I don't
so
remember.
out in front, at the end of the game, myself and Matt were even Stevens. Peter was 1 point behind us, and then it was you and Don, maybe 10 or 15 points. Which I think we were scoring pretty big on the game as well. We were scoring there. So then it came down to the tiebreaker, and Matt ended up winning the tiebreaker because he got one more dwelling, I believe, on the board than I got. That was it basically.
Yeah,
But to
well,
have a 5-player game where the first three, there's two, first two are neck and neck, and the third person is just 1 point behind. It just shows you just how well balanced that game is, and of course we're all playing with different factions as well.
yep.
It
You
was
should have had
it
a
was
better relationship with the council, and you would have had that one more dwelling.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you know what? You can look back at it and say, right, I know exactly where I could have got even 1 more point, or 2 more points, or whatever. Um, and it maybe took 2.5 hours. I don't know,
Something like
something
that,
like
yeah.
that to
Yeah, it
play.
was a
Yeah,
little longer, but, we're going through because all of it and it was what was interesting about it is I tried a strategy I'd never, ever come close to trying before. I had created no special workers, just regular workers, and I was playing the rats, and I had gotten some kind of card that was allowing me to turn swords into points, and the rats have a way to get extra swords. And so I just was in a bad spot where I couldn't dwell a lot. And I just started trying to pump this engine to see if I could keep up. And for a while, you all thought I was winning
yeah,
because I was just running out in front. And it was competitive, which I think is so cool to not use any special workers, not get to dwell very well, and still remain in the game. Again, talks to the balance of it. Now, I really really like this game. It's one that I wish I played more, and the solo is actually very good too. I just need to
solo's
bring it out
excellent.
more often.
I think it was my solo game of the year 2020 because solo is really really excellent. But no, it was epic. It was fantastic. It was fun. It was 5 people. Probably unless we get to do this again, it's probably not a number I'll ever play Dwellings at again. And it was perfect. It couldn't have gone any better that Sunday morning. It was just we all seized the opportunity.
And the
Fortunately,
timing
we'd
was
all played
perfect
it
because
before.
Bernie showed up just as we were wrapping up. He was
Just
like,
as
"You guys
wrapping up,
playing
yeah,
Dwellings?" We're like, "Oh,
yeah,
okay, should have been
yeah.
here."
He brought donuts. That's fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so I guess he's the real winner. Um,
yeah.
all right, so those are our kind of top games. Now, just like one or two of your top moments that you had. And I'm going to go with, I'm just going to share, the whole thing was great, but I'm going to share one moment that still makes me so happy. So, one of the snacks that you brought is this Turkish delight covered in chocolate.
Yeah.
And you told us it's,
Fries Turkish delight is called
and
fries. Yeah.
and you told us it's very divisive. And we all tried it. And it was, we watched Peter Vaughn try it. And he looked at it and he just said, he tasted it and he said, "Well, that's I understand why people don't like that."
It
And
was the most polite way of saying I hate it. Yeah.
someone else said, "Oh, it tastes pink."
Yeah.
But then it came back when we had the Dungeons and Dragons evening, and another friend came over. Like he ate it, and like he didn't say much. And then later on the evening, he just looked at it and said, "I'm gonna finish that." He just grabbed it.
Grabbed it and shoveled it in his mouth. Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
me, that was my kind of my standout ridiculous moment. This a close second was our first night playing long shots, the dice game, and having frozen margaritas. That was
Yeah.
up there
That was
too.
good. Yeah.
All right.
And I think for me, I think having the opportunity to make Yorkshire puddings for everybody. I mean, the wonderful for those that don't know, Will is a certified carnivore. He eats meat occasionally with maybe a carrot, but it's mainly just meat. So Will was
I eat broccoli. I eat broccoli.
grilling spectacularly each night, and then one night Will grilled the food, and I made traditional Yorkshire puddings, which were to have a bit of Yorkshire in America, to have them with Henderson's relish while sat in a warm garden in San Jose. It was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, those are really tasty. Um, and I was so mad because I've been making them since the pandemic because you gave me your recipe, and you got the little hole in the top, and I never get the hole in the top, and I'm so angry
Over
about it.
overfilling the pan. That's what you're doing. Yeah, overfilling the pan.
So I got to go back and try again. All right, so everybody, now we have our brief moment where I say, consider becoming a channel member. It's helpful, or don't. Also helpful. Thank you. Check it out. That's my bump. Um, that's it.
Yeah,
It's good.
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can give you some sales training 101, some sales 101 training, but that's good. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a winner. Um, all right, so now we're talking about our review game here, and admittedly, I can't actually fully review this. It's a little more first impressions, but I wanted to talk about it with Mark here because he knows a lot more, and that is Frostpunk.
yeah.
Now, Frostpunk is based off the video game, but never played it. Frozen, post-apocalyptic world. We did something. It was probably our hubris, and now the world's being destroyed, has gone all cold, and there's these huge furnaces, like stories tall, burning lots of coal, and it heats the surrounding area enough so maybe you don't die. And so, crisis management game where you're building buildings, trying to use the buildings. There's these it's kind of a scenario that you're trying to follow along, and it tells you what you're trying to do, and you're passing laws that change the rules of your particular game, and you're dealing with crises, and people are getting sick, and they're probably going to die, and you can't even eat the bodies, which is a bummer. And you're trying not to blow up your generator. And I will say, we played, and we lost because our generator exploded. And who blew up the generator, Mark?
I think you did by overfeeding it at the beginning.
No, 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 nope. Who blew up the generator?
I think you did. I
No,
think you
no. I believe
overfed
you
it
dropped. I
way
believe
too
you
much.
dropped 10 cubes in, and all 10 cubes came out, and we
Who
died.
caused me to drop 10 cubes in, William? Yeah, that might have been the pair of us that did
Look,
that.
just
But
because I
yes.
was smart enough to put them in your hands, so it's your
Yeah.
fault. Right. But so, Frostpunk, what are your pros on this game, Mark?
So I think this for me is almost the it's a pinnacle of a solo. I know we played it very much cooperatively, but it's a pinnacle of a solo game. What you have here is a game which is tough as nails. The way I describe Frostpunk to people is Frostpunk is a date that makes you book an expensive restaurant. It chooses all of the most expensive items on there. It makes you pay the bill. It makes you pay the Uber back home, and then it goes off and sleeps with your best friend, and you thank it and ask to do it again the next night. And it's that kind of game. It just keeps
Well,
hitting
at
you in the
at
face.
least it didn't make you pay for the Uber to go straight to your friend's house while you walk.
Yeah,
So it could
yeah,
be tough.
yeah, yeah. But it is. I think what
Mark,
Adam
who hurt
Kopinski's
you?
done.
Who hurt you, Mark?
I think Adam Kopinski, the designer,
He hurt
absolutely
you?
nailed. Yeah, absolutely nailed the whole element of Frostpunk. Unlike this war of mine, which is from the same studio, where you get invested in individual characters, it's different here. You're not. You're invested in the community, and you feel that sense, and you every
Oh wait, no,
decision
isn't this
matters.
War of Mine? That's Awakened Realms, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
This
Sorry,
is
yeah,
Glass
yeah. It's
Cannon. Ooh, Glass
Glass
Cannon?
Cannon. Yeah, yeah.
Glass
Glass
Cannon.
Cannon. Yes, sorry, you're absolutely right. There's some links there, though, of course, yeah. But irrespective, it's that thing where you don't make any good decisions; you make less bad decisions in Frostpunk, and that's a really interesting kind of dichotomy that you have to have. Is understanding what those decisions you make early game are going to have an effect, or what effect they're going to have later game. You start off those first few rounds. You have a couple of rounds, first few days, and you think, I'm doing all right. You have plenty of food. I don't have many sick people. The generator's doing all right. It's not going to blow. Then bad stuff starts to happen and it dog piles on you, and all you're doing. As well as it's crisis management, and that's exactly what it is. But it's not just a singular crisis. You're literally spinning plates to try and keep everybody alive. Now there is a path through. We're going to play the first scenario, and there is a path through it because I have beat it. But, it did take me 6 or 7 goes to beat that first scenario, and there are a number of different scenarios in the book as well. Interesting decisions. You feel invested in it. It's just a game where all the mechanisms of the scene link together and work fantastically well.
And what I enjoyed about it is all the interlocking little systems.
Yeah,
It and it's almost like a butterfly effect, right? A
yeah,
butterfly farts here, and then Mark has a third arm down the road. Where you like, well, okay, we're gonna pass the law that's gonna let us put sawdust in our food.
yeah,
That's gonna be good. But down the road, something comes up, and you just have to shuffle in a card or whatever because you've done that, and then that comes up. You're like, oh, why did we ever do that? That was a
yeah,
terrible idea. Which is so cool. I mean, I think what makes this game is still exciting to me is that kind of story scenario as you're kind of going through and finding out what
yeah,
happened to the other places and these things that are going on. Now I'm like, oh gosh, we have to stop that from happening to us and all
yeah,
these things. And yet, everything that we did, it meant that we were going to let somebody die or somebody
yes,
get sick or
yeah,
something was going to break.
yeah,
And we had this lovely moment later on where like we can't build anything, we don't have any coal or wood or whatever, and then we're like racing to try to find somewhere that has coal, and it just all went bad, but
yeah,
it kept giving us just enough hope to think, well, maybe
yeah,
we can do this, let's not just quit, which I
yeah.
so cool, so cool.
And I think the game is it's, I think it's 1 to 4 or 1 to 5 players, but in reality, it's a solo game where you're going to take joint decisions. Now, how you should play is everybody gets given a particular role, and when it's your turn as the player, if you like, you get to make the final call on decisions. But we kind of put those sheets to one side, and Will and I just played very, very collaboratively, discussing each decision and coming up with an agreement on which way we should go. And generally, you kind of got 1 or 2 decisions. Say both of them are bad. You're just trying to choose one that kind of aligns with you, and it just worked very well as almost. You can almost see it as a team building game, can't you? Basically, as you get everyone together to work to solve almost an impossible problem. It's a bit like the Kobayashi Maru. It's got this almost unwinnable effect to it, and I just really enjoyed working with somebody on this and feeling the crushing realism of every action, every decision that we made. It's brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah, and I just want to say, as a teacher and you as a father, we put those kids to work so fast.
so fast. It was the first thing we did. Basically, as soon as we could, we put children to work. Yeah, and quite frankly, my kids are 18 and 16. I want to put them to work. I think kids have it too easy these days. But yeah, we put children to work quick, and we still killed them.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was bad. So one of the laws you talk about, you have a choice. You can either put the kids to work, so you have extra workers, or you can let them be
have
kids,
and
and
have
you
a
get
shelter or something
yeah,
like that, wasn't it? Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
yeah, they get a shelter, and you get some more hope, and whatever. And we're like, and I wonder if maybe somehow that wouldn't have been effective for us down the road. But
So I've tried both, but of course, if you build a shelter, you've then got to heat that shelter, so you're going to put more coal in the generator and yada yada yada. And so yeah, I think putting the kids to work tends to work for me.
be the way to
Sounds
go. Okay, so you
sounds
heard it here
very
first. Not
sounds
board
very
gaming supports child labor.
sounds very Victorian England, that doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
just brutal. Now, let's talk about some of the downsides. I'll tell you, I'm gonna claim the big downside here. You need an American-sized football field to play this game.
It
I
takes up
mean, it
so much
is
real estate. Yeah,
huge. It's
yeah,
just massive, and I cannot. Like this is one to where when I film my video, I'm not going to be able to actually do a full review because it will not fit on my table in the back room in a way to where I can actually film it. Which that's happened to me a couple of times. Which doesn't mean I don't want to play it because I already said I want to play it, but it's just so very big. And the
yeah.
second thing I'll say is it is so very hard. It is a punishingly hard game. Like I know a lot of people say they're co-op games, they want to win less than 50% of the time. Well, I think we're probably talking like less than 20% of the time here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Although it's hard, but in terms of it feels like initially it's going to be a very complex game to learn, but it's not. You have that flow, that nice flow, and it makes sense to go through the flow. So it comes down to gaming decisions, basically. That's what it is, and just understanding what it is. So it's not necessarily a massively difficult game to learn, but it is a very very punishing game.
Yeah,
So as you
yeah,
say,
it
for
wasn't
people,
challenging to learn,
yeah,
but there's just a lot to learn.
yeah.
I mean, I
I
think
mean,
the flow
you
chart,
had
I
an
think it's like
excellent
30 steps. You know,
Yeah, yeah. You had an excellent teacher as well, obviously, so that's fine. Yeah.
did I miss them? Did I miss that teacher?
And I think yeah. So you mentioned the table real estate. The theme, it's a grim game. There's no laughs in this game. It's I love the game, and it doesn't get me as depressed as a game like this War of Mine because it's not individual characters, but it is a theme with that is grim. It is not grim dark, but it is grim and it is dark. So yeah, that could be very off-putting for some people as well. Is the fact that the theme is just not going to be for everybody, along with the punishing nature of the game.
Yeah, yeah, it's just brutal. It is brutal, 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 brutal. It might be the hardest game that I have, period, in my collection. I
Yeah,
mean, now to be fair,
and
I haven't played enough to be able to really say that. Um, but I think it's up there. Like I'm looking across my room at my copy of Uprising: Curse of the Last Emperor.
yeah, yeah,
I think it's up there. Like I mean, if you're playing on easy, it's one thing, but it's up there with
yeah,
that. Very, very,
yeah.
very hard.
And I think the other one of the other negatives is the insert in the box is pretty terrible. To tell you the truth, you have those little tiles to store for all the buildings, etc.
Yeah, everybody, it
And
was so funny. So I didn't quite know how it was supposed to go in there, and so I was like, I was like, Mark, how does this go away? He's like, I don't know.
you put those there, and you're just going to have to sort it. So yeah, the insert in the box, I think, that's kind of no, it's not great, and it's not. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, it is hard, punishing. Probably one of the hardest games I've got. It doesn't stop me going back to it though. That's the thing. And when I got that win, I was like, yes, I've done it, and I could see it coming as well. The win, I knew I just had to survive 2 more days, and I could get to the end of it. And yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a great game.
yeah.
It
So
was my solo game of the year last year because I just think instantly just hit on every level for me.
oh, I didn't realize that. Well, I guess I did, but I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, I'm really, really high on. I'm not gonna say hot on it. That doesn't seem right. If you
Yeah.
say cold on it, that's bad. But yeah, so I'm pretty hyped about playing this more, and finally
Yeah.
finishing covering it. So yeah, I really dug it. I think it's available. I think.
Oh yes, it is. Yeah, it's available in retail. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if oh, you got some of the miniatures, haven't you? I think I've got the full shebang with the painted stuff and the iceberg box. I think it's called, which is up there. But yeah, it is available in retail. I've seen it in my FLGS, so it's definitely available.
Yeah, yeah. So I have that. I have the miniature. I don't know that I'm going to keep those miniatures. I might just
Okay.
pass those on because again, it's a big box, lots of real estate, and I like being able to see on those tiles what's going on.
Yeah, I get
So,
that. Yeah, it depends
so
how thematic you want to be. Yeah. So
yeah. Well, when it comes to watching all of my people starve and die, I'll take a step away. I'll let the verisimilitude of the moment relax a bit.
yeah, what can I say? I'm British. We just like to watch
Watch the world burn. Wow.
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Well, oh, because you're safe because it's always raining and you're not going to burn. I got it.
It has been again today. Yes, there we go.
Oh, raining again.
Yeah, rubbish weather at the moment. Yeah.
All right. So I know you got things that you got to get off to. So I'm going to let you go on just this one thing here. Maybe you've
Okay.
remembered this time. Mark Dainty, leave us with your gaming words of wisdom and don't repeat something you said one of the other times.
Oh my god. Right. Okay. Gaming words of wisdom. You got me stumped here because I'm not necessarily a wise person, but I think a lot of people get caught up in trying to win a game. A lot of people get caught up in trying to be the best at what they want to be. Sometimes you just got to put that to one side. Got to remember that gaming is there. It's tactile. It gives us a safe space. It gives us a space away from screens. It gives us a place to kind of work out puzzles in our mind, brains, and really kind of be at one with something that is tactile. So don't always make it about the destination. Just enjoy the journey in gaming, because for me, that's what it's all about. I'm terrible at winning games sometimes. I beat Will a few times over Powdered Wig Con, but
Did you
not
win
all.
Distilled? Did you win Distilled? Oh no.
No, I didn't win. No, but I won 5-player Dwellings of Eldervale, yeah, and I won Critter Kitchen,
No, you
and
didn't.
yeah, yeah.
Matt won 5-player Dwellings of Eldervale.
But I beat
You just
you.
told
Is what
us.
I meant. I beat you. Yeah. But yeah, it's yeah. I never these days. I don't necessarily get caught up in the winning. It's the journey, not the destination, and take more time to appreciate exactly that journey.
Yeah, there's very few. I've been much happier since I got there. There's very few games that I'm like I have to win. Well,
Yeah.
one of them is Vast Mysterious Manor
Okay.
because I almost always win, and now it's like it's a thing. I have to keep winning. I've lost once out of like 13 times, and then every now and then there will be sometimes you'll play a game against somebody and you're like, I'm going to destroy you. Like you become Ivan
Yeah.
Drago and Rocky.
Yeah.
I must
Yeah.
break you. Yep. Every once in a while there'll be one of those, but that's
I
about it.
mean, admittedly, for Don, over Powdered Wig Con, I would have liked to have seen him win one game.
He
Any
did.
game.
He won at the end.
Which
He-
one?
Um, which one? Well, he tracks it, but I think
Dawn of
um,
Hold
I'm
on.
looking.
No, I don't.
He won something.
Musical chairs. We played musical chairs, and Don won that. There we go. So no, we did
Oh, poor
not.
Don. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
rough. It was a rough go for poor Don. Oh, and just I'm going to give one quick bonus moment that was great. We played a 5-player game of Tapestry, and I think Tapestry is probably best at 3. But Peter Vaughn had a last turn. He was down by close to 100 points, and he took a 30-minute turn. We were all done for 30 minutes. And by the
Jesus.
end, and I was winning, and I said 15 minutes on, I was like, Peter, you better win. You better win because we're waiting all this time. 15 minutes later, he won by 1 point.
One point, and it was like watching I don't know if you've seen Sherlock, the program with Benedict Cumberbatch when he goes into the Mind Palace, whatever it is, and you got those calculations. That was like watching Peter. You could hear the cogs turning. I do this, I can move this here, I can do this here, I can do. It was just, for the first 15 minutes, it was fascinating. For the final 15 minutes, we all went and got pizza, quite frankly.
Yeah, we did. I literally went and folded all the laundry that had finished drying, and I came back and still wasn't done. But so yeah,
and isn't that a joy? I mean, it was kind of a joy to behold that at the same time. Yeah.
yeah, and I was happy I lost, but of course, we were going to throw him out if he did all that and didn't win.
Yeah, didn't win. Yeah.
All right, but anyhow, Mark, thank you for joining me again. Thanks for coming by for Powdered Wig Con. Can't wait for Ungrateful Colonial Weekend or whatever it turns out to be. And as always, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Bye, everybody. I didn't want to stimulate anything. I do like that game. I know Mike's a bit nonplussed about it. He's only played episode 1, but I do like it a lot for Perseverance. I played episode 3 at Gen Con and really enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, he's nonplussed about everything.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah,
anything that's remotely Euro, he's like, yeah, it's fine.
I'll tell him I'm nonplussed about Shart and whatever it's called.
Spark and Shart.
Spark and Shart. That's the one.
Sometimes he just doesn't get life. Like sometimes. Or George Southington Willoughby V is going to teach you how to bat cricket.
Bat cricket. No, the guy. Well, apart from his liability,